Now, let me ask you this. Stand up if you have ever marketed to a FSBO, a for sale by owner. Stand up if you've ever marketed. That's phone calls, text, knocking on doors. If you've ever marketed to a FSBO before. Okay. Now, stay standing if you've read at least 10 books on FSBO marketing.
You know when you are known like Cher, one name, Cher, right? One name people, right? Michael, Michael Jordan. This guy is Levi. I have seen him speak so many times, right? All you know is you hear Levi. You don't even know the last name. He is the most invigorating, exciting speaker I've ever seen in my life. Let's give it up for Levi Lascsak!
Rocket, baby, rocket. Woo! Wow. All right, thank you so much. All right, that was awesome, by the way. And my last name is Polish. That's why nobody ever says it, because it's impossible to say and to spell. So it's not really the best marketing name. Do I have a clicker? I guess this is probably it over here. All right, thank you so much. All right, so we like to talk about passive prospecting quite a bit. And that's, of course, about making YouTube videos, which is what we're mostly known for. First, yes, got the family here. Cammie, I think, is over there, should be, with little Lucas, who's 2 months old. So if you see them around, feel free to say hi. Miss Penny didn't make the trip here, but she's around as well. So happy to have them here. This is his first conference. Last night I had him on a webinar, and when he was 1 week old, we took him to the Rangers game. So this guy's going to go through quite the experience, I'll tell you that. So hopefully he's not sleeping through his first presentation. All right. So, and I also want to give a shout out to my team, because they're absolutely amazing, and they allow me to do what I do on a daily basis. My business partner Travis, he's in the back over there, and Yaman, Chrissy, Alex is here doing a lot of the videography. We supported the conference today. We were asked to help out, and we said absolutely. Happy to do that. So Nick, Carlos, Archie, Gwyneth, and there's so many more. We got a chance to take everybody to Cabo a couple of months ago. That was really cool. So we got to create these experiences, turn that into a little family trip there. It was nice. Anybody know Michael Reese? Say aye. Aye. All right, so funny thing is I've known this guy for 20 plus years. He actually got me into my sales career. We sold gym memberships together at Bally Total Fitness. I remember the weekend he met Jay Kinder and came into Bally's on a Monday, and he said, I'm getting into real estate. That was in 2002. And he introduced me to self-development, education. He took me to my very first Brian Tracy event. I'd never known anything like that existed. And I just had this $300 credit card. I remember I was dead broke, but I had this $300 credit card for emergencies. And I went to the back of the room and I bought every CD set I could. And luckily I had a Volkswagen Jetta with a 6-disc changer, in the trunk. And anybody have one of those, the 6-disc changer in the trunk? And all of Brian Tracy's programs were 6 CDs, so I could load them in my trunk, and I just listened to Brian Tracy for like the next 5 years. And it was funny because in 2002, when Michael got into real estate, he was trying to get me into real estate back then. And I was like, I don't really want to be a real estate agent. So he finally talked me into it in 2004, and but the funny thing was that he taught me sales, and Bally's was not a gym, it was a sales organization. But during that time, I learned a very simple framework for success that has served me now through 5 different industries, which is who's at the top, how did they get there, how can I model that, and how can I adjust it to fit my personality. And then I add one little tweak, which is, can I do better than them? So all I do is I look at someone like Michael Reese, who's, of course, like #1 gym membership salesperson. And I said, hey, Mike, what did you do your first month, your first 6 months, your first year? Because right there, that immediately gives me my benchmark, because I know as good as he is, if I can do at least what he does, or can I actually do a little bit better? I just need that benchmark. I just need to know that somebody else has done that, and it makes it just that more possible, right? And I did end up beating Mike, by the way. So in the gym membership business. So I've used that to serve me throughout my career. Now, the funny thing is he talked me into getting into real estate in 2004. So I actually got licensed in 2004, but I had my license for 1 week, and I was in the military previously, but I had my license for about 1 week, and then I got a phone call that said, hey, Levi, I was still in the reserves, and they said, hey, this is your captain speaking. Instead of giving me the altitude, they said, hey, you leave in 4 days. You're getting deployed, report to Fort Hood, and guess what? You're going to be gone for 18 months. And that was it. So 12 months of that spent over in Iraq. And, you know, the funny thing is that I know mindset definitely matters, but in the military, they teach you discipline. Because, in my opinion, discipline trumps mindset a lot of the times. Because guess what? Every single day in Iraq, you know what my mind was telling me? You shouldn't be here. This is not where you're supposed to be. You're in the wrong place. But you can't just lay in bed one day and say, you know what? I don't feel like going to work today. We worked 7 days a week. My shifts were minimum 12 hours a day, 7 days a week. No days off. It didn't matter. And I couldn't just, like I said, sleep in, say, I don't feel like going to work today, right? I had to serve the person next to me, and, you know, the mission depended upon it. So even in an environment, and this is to the extreme, you know, we lost a couple of team members over there, and you have to go back out in that exact same environment the next day. You think making your calls is terrible? I mean, this is real world. So, and I know that's extreme, but that's the thing, is that we had to work through that. And every single day, my mind was telling me, don't do it, you know, but we had to do it. So that's where I learned discipline, and that sometimes we just have to put ourselves in motion, and a lot of times the emotion will follow it. Motion creates emotion. So, has anybody not heard of the cash flow quadrant? Raise your hand. Be honest, please. Anybody not heard of the cash flow quadrant? Raise them high. Okay, good. Half of you. So let me explain this. Connor mentioned this as well. He talked about being a business, right? Something that you can remove yourself from. The whole goal of the cash flow quadrant is to move from the left side of the quadrant to the right side of the quadrant. You're either leveraged or you're not leveraged, period. And that's the difference between owning a business or a business owning you. And ultimately, that's the difference between wealth. So on the right side, none of us in here, I believe, wants to be an employee, right? That's why you're an agent. And employees trade time for money, and they work for somebody else. However, when you get a real estate license, all you do is move down to the S quadrant. You become self-employed. You still trade time for money, you just work for somebody, or you just work for yourself instead of somebody else, right? So the only way to get to the right side of the quadrant to become a business owner is you have to leverage people, processes, or systems, right? And then you can leverage that for money, and that's where you can actually be removed from your business, and it can keep working while you're not. So now the ultimate quadrant is the I quadrant, the investor quadrant, because there your money can make you money. So you have to, you know, that's where ultimate wealth is created. So let me ask you this question. Stand up if you are the primary income earner for your family. Stand up if you're the primary income earner of your family. Okay, now, those of you that are standing, pick somebody to look at. Yeah, we're going to do one of those things, and tell them you are your family's most important insurance policy. Now let's say that like, now say it, say I am my family's most important insurance policy. Does that hit a little differently now? Have you ever thought of yourself as an insurance policy for your family? Have you ever, think about that. So, all right, you can sit down. So that's why relating back to the cash flow quadrant is so important, because you see, it's really important, because if you are your family's most important insurance policy, what happens if you get removed from the picture? That's why owning a business is so important than just being a real estate agent. Because you see, I was a tough guy until I wasn't a tough guy. And I actually acquired a digestive disease whenever I was in Iraq, and it messed with me for about 8 years until 2013 happened, and then I lost 50 pounds in a single month and became completely bedridden and disabled at 33 years old. And I played high school football, was in the military, always in shape, Never had any problems. Then all of a sudden, whenever I come home, and I was stubborn about this disease that I had, and I ignored it a lot of days until finally it caught up to me. And when you lose 50 pounds in a month, it was the most horrific thing I'd ever gone through in my life, even worse than Iraq. For 3 months, I was literally on my deathbed just thinking that every night I went to bed that I wouldn't wake up the next day. I didn't think my body could handle anything more. But really, by God's grace, I found a natural doctor, and this guy completely changed my life. I went to 4 different GI doctors. They all told me the exact same thing, and essentially, they were going to cut out my colon. I know, sorry, TMI, but that's what they told me. That's how they were going to cure me, is just like take out one of my most favorite organs, right? Okay. Well, this guy, so I walked into this guy's office, like literally had not left the house in 3 months. And he told me later on, he thought I was going to die in his office. And then he looked at me and he said, hey, let's just change your diet and put you on some vitamins. Natural doctor. I was like, okay. After 3 weeks, I started to get better. It took me a full year to recover, but I was able to recover 100% without any medication or surgery. And now thank you. Been 10 plus years. Actually, I turned 45 in a couple of months, and I think I look better than I did at 33 years old, right? I'm kind of like Benjamin Button, so I'm just aging in reverse, I think. So that leads up to 2020. Now, I think we all took a hit in 2020. Let me go back. Oh, no, that was right. In 2020. So I had a financial, and that's whenever I realized I wasn't going to have a job anymore. I've been working these sales jobs. Michael Reese and I were still friends throughout the last few years. And I had a financial services business. And I was working with teachers on their retirement planning at schools. And I was living my best life because I had a teacher schedule, but I had 5 times a teacher's income. So that allowed me to travel the world. I went to 24 countries inside of 3 years. I had summers off, 2 weeks off for Christmas, week off for Thanksgiving. I was having a great time. I was very comfortable, right? Until 2020 happened. Then, right, the world shuts down. And my world, which is really 2 main things, schools and travel, those completely shut down. And so I found myself at 41 years old asking myself, how do I start over without starting over? Sheila mentioned that, like starting over at 50. I thought my life was over at 41. So I'm sitting there in 2020, a global shutdown, not knowing would schools ever open up again, would the world ever open up again? And I was sitting there going like, what am I going to do? And then here comes Michael Reese. Hey, Levi, it's time to get into real estate. And, it's funny because, I think Connor said, how many of you took more than one try to get into EXP? Some of us give up on people too easily. Michael's been trying to recruit me since 2002. And he finally gets me because I'm like going, I don't know what else am I going to do? It's either be a real estate agent or sell toilet paper, during 2020. And I didn't really want to be a toilet paper salesperson, right? So I was like, okay, if I'm going to get into real estate, I'm going to figure out a plan. I just didn't say, okay, Michael, yeah, let's do it. Let's get into real estate. And you know why I didn't do it? Because I was scared to death. And I looked at Michael and Jay and these guys that I've seen have these amazing careers over the last 15 years. And I was like, I've already had success. I've been successful. And I was scared to get into an industry with people that are very successful. And then I had to start over. And then what if I didn't do well my first year? What if I didn't make it? What if I had to do what everybody else did? And so I was like, all right, well, if I'm gonna figure out a plan and then I'll get into real estate. Where most people get into real estate and then they try to figure out a plan. So I was like, let me see. So I love to say that you can hyper learn any subject in 60 days. Now, let me ask you this. Stand up if you have ever marketed to a FSBO, a for sale by owner. Stand up if you've ever marketed. That's phone calls, text, knocking on doors. If you've ever marketed to a FSBO before. Okay. Now, stay standing if you've read at least 10 books on FSBO marketing. And be honest with me. I'm so glad. I was wondering if this would work, and it absolutely worked. So that tells me out of this entire room that somebody has the potential to be the best FSBO marketer on the planet. Because nobody even in this room, and there is some seriously top talent in this room, has even studied one lead source in real estate. I just did a simple search. These are the first 10 books. Can you imagine if you wanted to be the best FSBO marketer on the planet? That's 10 books right there that I found in about a 30-second search on Amazon. And that's just the first place I would start if I wanted to beat all of you in FSBO marketing. But I decided not to go down FSBO marketing. I decided to start looking at social media, but which platform? Most people make the mistake of being told that they need to be on every platform, you need to be everywhere. I knew that would be a mistake. I said, I'm going to pick one platform, go all in, because I don't want to start 5 platforms and end up putting 20% effort across 5 different platforms. So I'm going to choose one, but which one? Everybody told me TikTok and Instagram and Facebook in 2020, especially TikTok, because every agent woke up with like 10,000 followers, right? One video, and they woke up and they're like, oh, I got 10,000. So I was like, I don't know. It didn't really fit my personality. YouTube was actually my last choice. But what did I do? I went back to what I like to do, which is hyperlearn. But I needed to find the right subject. So I started buying YouTube marketing books and reading through theirs. This one paragraph, remember Gene at the beginning was asking, what are you looking to get out of this conference? Think about this. The only thing I'm ever looking to get out of anything is like just one thing. One thing could change everything. And out of this entire book, 200 pages, YouTube Secrets, this one paragraph. And Benji, the co-author, wrote in there that he had a real estate business in 2009 on YouTube and went from selling 10 homes a year, about to quit the business, to selling 100 homes a year in 2009 because of YouTube. That one paragraph out of a 200-page book said, oh, and all he did was answer questions, create videos about the market. And I was like, that's interesting. Then I picked up another book and it said YouTube is a search engine, not a social media platform. And I said, oh, that makes even more sense. So just by going through all those, and I read about 6 or 7 other YouTube marketing books, but just out of those 2 books, those 2 little paragraphs is what changed everything for me. And that's whenever we created, a Living in Dallas, Texas YouTube channel that has been responsible for a significant amount of our business. And look at this. I'm going to show you right now that right there. It's funny, Jennifer, I think, was talking about NLP. And we've always had 4 ways for people to contact us. Phone numbers, right? Emails, or Zoom calls. Why? Because we know there's 4 major communication styles. Visual, auditory, kinesthetic, and readers and writers. You ever struggled with communication with one of your clients? Well, how they contact us from the start tells us usually the best way to communicate with them. So if they text us or email us, they're probably a reader and a writer. You ever get that person that never picks up your phone calls and they always send you a text and then you're always trying to call them and you're going, why won't they answer the phone? Well, they're probably a reader and a writer. So guess what? You text them and they'll probably respond like that. You get the person that calls you all the time and then you're like, why are you calling me? Stop calling me. I'm going to text you. Because maybe you're a reader and a writer, but the client is calling you. Guess what? They want to talk. They want to hear your voice. So you need to adapt. Even if you're not an auditory person or you don't like talking on the phone, you need to adapt to that. Kinesthetic, they book the Zoom calls, right? They want to see us, right? They're like Gene. They want to touch us through Zoom, right? Yeah, they want to get to know us. So, and what the funny thing is we get about 20, it's almost literally the same 25% across those 4 lead. I mean, it's 25%, 25%, 25%, the way the lead flow comes in. But I will tell you, Zoom calls are our highest converting way. So we know the people that book those Zoom calls are the highest opportunity for doing business. Now, here's the key component of YouTube. What I love the most is that YouTube does not take time. It actually makes you time, and not only does it make you time, it compounds your time. And this is what I started to realize as I created these videos, was that the channel has watched 104,600 hours in 1 year. You divide that by 24 hours in a day, that's equivalent to almost 12 years worth of prospecting. However, if you were to try to compete with me and make phone calls 2 hours a day for 5 days a week, it would take you 143 years to match 104,600 hours. So how many of you have 143 years? Okay. So if you're making, and look, nothing wrong with phone calls. I'm not going to demonize that. I'm just talking about efficiency sometimes and also a compound effect. That's why we've been able to do the amount of business we're doing. But also look at this. I took this screenshot yesterday. They let me throw it in here last minute. But even like right now, and this shows you at 10 a.m. I didn't know what time I was speaking. They don't tell me anything around here. No, I'm just kidding, Nicole. No, but I figured I might be on around 10 a.m. or something, and I took a screenshot of the channel yesterday, and 192 people are likely watching the channel right now. So that means while I'm on this stage with you, I'm actually prospecting to 192 people. So how many people are you prospecting to right now? 0? How many are you? Phil feels like the master right here. How many people are you prospecting to right now, Phil? Okay, all right. He doesn't count. All right. But anyways, so that's a good number, right, that I'm prospecting to right now. And what has that led to? Just from a YouTube channel with 0 marketing budget. This is organic YouTube. No ad spend. That's what we've been able to do. Didn't close 100 homes the first year, but we did $1 million in GCI the first year. That's pretty unheard of, because I asked Michael, I said, hey, Michael, what did Jay do his first year? And he said, well, Jay, it took him 5 years to hit $1 million. So Michael wanted to beat Jay Kinder, so he did $1 million in his third year in the business. So I was like, well, clearly I got to beat Michael Reese, right? That's what I got to do. But yeah, we did that. $1 million the first year. Second year, 2.8. Third year, this year we're pacing over right around 100 homes or so. Now, does it look like it's going down? Well, sure, market's kind of a different animal right now, but I'll tell you what, I'll take 100 homes this year from one lead source that I spent 0 on marketing, wouldn't you? Yeah, of course. And guess what? If interest rates come down 1 or 2%, guess what? That is going to blow up big time. We'll see that 2022 level again, I know from the channel. So we have a lot of that. And then if you want to agent attract, and I'm not sure, where is my clock at? Where is that clock at? Oh, okay, cool. And so if you want to agent attract, why not do the same thing? 2 separate channels, 2 separate audiences, and we created, a YouTube channel for passive prospecting, which attracts agents. And the funny thing about this is that I've never actually explained EXP to anybody. I've never explained it to them, because we attract agents by offering something that helps them with their production, that's going to help them grow their business. EXP just becomes icing on the cake. And guess what? When you teach somebody a very valuable skill, and then we say, hey, you want to join us at EXP? You know what they say? Sure, why not? You already helped me do everything else. Might as well. And at 0 brand, same as Travis. Travis started at the same time. And the funny thing is I actually met Travis at Michael Reese's house on a random day, right when we were both getting into real estate. So again, you never know, one person, one meeting, one encounter, one relationship, one conference, one book, all of that could absolutely change the whole trajectory of your life, right? And so creating this has led to, a good sized organization. But we just onboarded another 75 real quickly, and I'm going to share that with you if you'd like. But I can't teach you everything about YouTube today, all right? So, and you probably wouldn't buy a vehicle without looking under the hood, right? And I clearly can't teach you YouTube in 20 minutes. So if you want, I'll give you an opportunity. If you want to test drive the community, you can do that. And if you want to scan that QR code, counting down in 3, 2, that means you too, Cliff. I see you. C3, I see you. You can test drive our community if you want for free, and that has everything in there that you'll ever need. So, who is interested, since I got about 4 minutes left, how we got 95 real estate clients to raise their hand in this market, and how we got those 75 plus FLAs to join us. Is anybody interested in that? Say aye. Aye. Are you sure? Say aye. Aye. Okay. All right, so I'm going to give you something that you can walk away with right now. Because again, like I said, I can't teach you YouTube in 20 minutes, but that's what the community is for. My mic's going to go out? Okay. All right, so how many of you have a database of at least 3 years or older? Show of hands and say aye. Okay, good. Then this should work for all of you because it worked for us, and our database is only about 3 years old. So when's the last? Gene said it. Actually, that was a great segue, Gene, because Gene said at the very beginning, just ask, right? When he introduced me, he said, hey, just ask. It's funny. I went over there to Gene. I was like, hey, Gene, will you improvise with me on that intro? And he said, sure, I'll do whatever you want. It's like, cool. And then he comes up here and he says, just ask. When's the last time that you just asked your database to come forward? And if you can't read that, here's the email that you can send out. Sending out this simple email. Hey, Levi here. I'm hosting a live webinar on date and time of choice. It's going to be all about buying or selling your home, even if you don't know where to start. Or you could say, even in this crazy market, or even with interest rates at 7%, whatever. I mean, it doesn't have to be complicated. That's simple. I'd love for you to come, accept my invitation here. We just created a simple landing page. That's it. Do a webinar. Send out that email to your database. Guess what happened? Register, 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 register. So, when you call through your database, hard to sometimes get people to answer the phone, right? Hard to get them to reply to your text. But here we're like, hey, we're going to host a little quick webinar. Want to jump on? Sure. And then guess what? We got our lender on there. Travis and I are on there. I facilitated, so don't get on there and make this weird now, okay? So I got the conversation going. I asked Travis a question. I asked our lender a question. And guess what? 85 of the questions were directed to the lender. Exactly. So guess what we did? We just sat back. Because all they were asking about this market, interest rates, and he's skilled. So our lender handled about 85% of this. But we got 95 people to come on just like that. One email to the database, and we're able to get some deals out of there. And so now you got 95 people on a hot list as well, because wait a second, they're getting information. Must be interesting, right? Now, I'm also assuming that you segment your database between clients and agents. And if you don't, you should start and figure that out. So you want to do that through agent attraction. How do we do that? When's the last time you just asked your agent database? When have you ever done that? So here's a simple email. Hey, Levi here. Want to join our team at EXP? Let's talk about your business and your goals by applying here. Hey, we'll also talk about it, attracting new leads, mastering closing techniques, receiving personalized coaching for myself and Travis, how to access all of our programs at no cost, and much more. That's it. When's the last time you asked? And what happened? Partner call, 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 partner call. Like if I show you, like Travis just, it's taken, this is just like half of his calendar right there on the bottom half. 4 or 5 partner calls a day at the end of the day. Would anybody like to talk to 4 or 5 people a day that booked on your calendar wanting to talk to you about EXP? And again, never explained EXP because before they get on this call, guess what we send them? Please watch this video before jumping on our call. And so they never really ask us about, what their first question is when we get on calls with partners? So how does this work? How does the logistics, that's what we talk about. Like, what's the transition like? Like, how are you going to support me? How can you help me out? They don't say, hey, can you talk to me about stocks and rev share? And no, that's all just icing on the cake. And so that's what happens. So when's the last time you just asked your database? So again, why did I share with you all the setbacks I've had before? Because I just want to assure you, no matter what you're going through, it's quite possibly I've been through worse. But so whatever you're going through, look, I'm not going to discount that. But I do know Iraq was a mental setback. When you come home from that, it took me years to adjust, actually. But it's made me mentally stronger, and it's almost even hard to say that was 20 years ago that I was in Iraq. I mean, that's almost unbelievable. I'm that guy now. I'm like, back in Nam, remember, back in Nam we were doing, so I'm that guy now. So, but going through that has made me mentally stronger because any time that I'm down on myself, I can say, well, I made it through that, right? Physical setback, I came back physically stronger, all right? Financial setback in 2020, I lost everything. My whole business just shut down, and my income came to a screeching halt at 41 years old, and I'm sitting there going, okay, what's the next step? But now I've made more money in real estate than I ever did in financial services, and so, there's not even a thought of going back to that. But ultimately, all those setbacks, I mean, at least made me spiritually stronger, right? So, thank you so much. If you want to test drive the community, go for that. And have a great day. And stand up for the YouTube video. Now stand up and act. There you go. Stand up.